Good evening. It's Friday, August 28th, 2022. I'm RisenLadyHeathen tonight. Asshole and I are just the two of us.
Fair.
We are missing a boomer. So you don't get my usual introduction because whatever.
Yeah, and we're not at a round table.
Yeah, no, we have lots of we have a little round
That's
table
true.
over here, which I have my drink on, so it's kind of.
Yeah.
But anyway, so tonight, since we do not have our boomer, I'm going to turn this into a Fuck It All Friday, kind of like a Burn It Down Wednesday, which we missed this week. But I mean, again, there hasn't been too much going on, so this came out today.
Well, it's been all the offensive opening bits.
Yeah.
I'd have even said this since when you were looking it up. Right, I had seen a couple of these headlines and given a couple of articles a cursory skim to see what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
And as you were saying, the details of this are not yet hammered out.
I stumbled across some misreportings and stuff, but then I eventually found her.
Yeah, no, there's definitely a consistent through line that can be found.
Yeah, so if you go to CNN and like these main companies, they have it all right. Yeah. It was these side notes like The Guardian, and some random other outlet that I'd never heard of before. But it's being reported by enough people at this point that like and she's actually made us anyway. For those of you who haven't figured it out yet, we're talking about Nancy Davis, because this shit makes my fucking blood boil. So just a little bit of background, and then I'm going to read a short article. But Nancy Davis is a 36-year-old mother of three who lives in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, with her significant other. That's how she worded it in her own GoFundMe.
Fair.
Is significant other. I read somewhere else the boyfriend, but I think that's just them putting their own label on it.
Well, and a lot of the bullshit press spec that's going to happen due to any of that is going to be from very specifically not the millennial. Right? Nobody under 40 is going to be the one bitching about what word are they using to define that thing.
Right. So I'm gonna read a quick article from, I believe it's NBC News. I had to switch over to Firefox because I've been having problems scrolling on Google Chrome, which is starting to piss me off. Even closing all my tabs and clearing my history and stuff, it's still giving me issues. So I don't know what their problem is, but Firefox does not leave the address at the top, but that's NBC, right? Whatever. Anyway, so NBC has an article called Woman Carrying Fetus Without a Skull to Seek Abortion in Another State Following Louisiana Ban. And this is written by Minnie Von Burke. And it was written August 26th, 2022 at 10:22 a.m. Okay. A Louisiana mother says she was denied an abortion even though doctors told her her baby had a rare birth defect and would not survive. Nancy Davis said she found out 10 weeks into her pregnancy that her unborn child had a condition called acrania, where the fetus's skull does not form inside the womb. The Fetal Medicine Foundation said a baby born with this lethal condition does not survive past the first week. Davis said doctors advised her that she get an abortion. She said at a news conference on Friday, but her doctors said they would not be able to perform the procedure because of the state's ban on abortions. Basically, they said I had to carry my baby to bury my baby, said Davis, who is about 16 weeks now. This is not fair to me, and it should not happen to any other woman. This has truly been an emotional roller coaster. Louisiana's trigger law, making abortions illegal, went into effect after the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade in June. The law has been challenged in court for being unconstitutional and vague. Attorney Benjamin Crump, who is representing Davis, slammed the state legislators and said the ban puts his client at risk. Now, one thing I'm going to say is that First of all, I've read a bunch of articles about this, so my mind's a little bit jumbled. But one of the things I read is they're saying that some place said that 90% of children die. That's not what this. If you don't have a skull, I think that's 100% death rate within the first week. I don't think you survive without a skull. I would.
Birth seems like it'd be hard.
Well, the birth itself is first of all going to cause more damage to the brain than it already has, not having a skull. And secondly, the baby is going to suffer the whole time it's alive. So, I mean, I don't feel like you can really hold a baby that doesn't have a skull. I mean, it's one thing, because babies are usually born with, like, kind of plates in the skull so that it can shift and adjust while it's coming out of the birthing canal. But
first surviving case in 96. Or the first surviving case.
Okay, so this baby managed to survive.
Yeah, we got several hours. Rare occurrence, 1 in 20,000. Anyway.
But no, so I think that this 90% is some random number that somebody came up with. I
think they're hedging their bet on 10% survival rate. Yuck.
Which, again, I don't think is even true. I haven't been able to find any numbers to corroborate
it's
that.
It's listed as a fatal condition.
Yeah, okay. So let's just
Yeah.
trump that all together and say 99%.
Infants with it are...
Because so far you found, what, 1?
Yeah, I still wondering about 75% of cases do survive, die within several hours, days, or weeks. So no, I'm gonna guess if we really drill down on the people who are pushing on any survival numbers here, are the same cats like, oh fuck, who's the shithead that ran for president and had a dead kitty fetishized?
Oof. I don't know.
Rick Santorum, maybe?
Maybe.
That sounds right. Anyway, I brought the dead kid home so the other kids could see it and stuff.
Oh,
and, kept
God,
it for a couple
why?
of days and... Yeah,
oh,
no.
God, what is wrong with people?
Then some people aren't good at letting go.
Fuck my life. I mean, I get, like, whatever, but, like, the concept, like, some people take pictures and stuff. And
I'm sure this was one of
a
them.
little bit, like, within the first few hours.
As long as I never hear about it, you can do whatever you fucking want. Right?
Yeah.
My problem is when, as a public figure, you're, right, it's the, I think we've all known people who had, right, in our orbits, whose parents had a horrifically damaged child that they were keeping for no other reason than, right, their own twisted virtue signaling.
Right.
Look what a good person I am. I kept this horrible collection of life trapped in a malformed body.
Well, that's
I'm
kind
the
of
best.
The way I look at it is that the concept of, finding out while the baby is still a fetus, right? That there's some sort of severe thing where it's never going to live a full life, like Down syndrome or some severe case of autism that can be picked up early on in the pregnancy. The fact that people would make the choice to carry a baby who will never live its fullest life, will always know that it's different, will always understand that it cannot be like those around it, and you would willingly put a child through this to eventually become an adult who you are eventually going to die and then leave it behind in the care of somebody else. Hopefully. And the abuse that happens.
The number one concern for parents of damaged children is financial planning after their death. Because, no, and for me, I have a big problem with the whole thing because we rapidly, for me, are going to get into questions of, right, these idiots believe in souls. Awesome, right, a definition of self not attached to your body and the rest. So, is it a regular soul crammed into a malformed body? Or is it a malformed soul? And so, because unless you're going to tell me that their soul has Down syndrome,
right?
What the fuck are you doing?
Well, no, and again, we've proven that these kids, when they hit an age, understand.
Oh yeah,
that they're different and they know it.
And that age,
and they can articulate it.
Well, we know that children can read motivations and stuff in people in 10 months. So yeah, they know they're different from an age that would probably make everyone uncomfortable.
Right.
And the worst part is, How long does it take for them to figure out it's never going to change? Hey, so
Right, but in this case, let's. Sorry, we kind of went off.
Yeah.
And it was a good discussion to have because it's necessary in all of this.
stop birthing babies. They're not going to get to live a fucking life.
Why is it necessary for this woman to birth a child who is going to, if it survives the birthing process, suffer for days, hours, weeks, maybe, and then die a horrible death?
Because according to
This
the
is
family values
disgusting.
types, women, back when women were more afraid about the horror show that is pregnancy and no good ways to end it.
I just don't understand why people think that they're better people for carrying the child to full term and then either doing one of two things: treating it like shit, raising it in a shitty environment in which it never should have been born to in the first place, or birthing a child that it will never be able to live a full, healthy, happy. It has no chance whatsoever.
Yep.
Because of whatever
creates
deformity.
some more ass misery.
This is just, or those children that are born that have to get surgery after surgery after surgery, and we hold these children up.
6.
We hold these children up on pedestals, like, look at this amazing thing we did. We gave this child 10 years of life after hundreds of surgeries, open heart surgeries, new replacements, all kinds of shit. And I'm like,
designed to make a child better and run outside and play and any of the other stuff, just to delay the suffering of the parents.
It's disgusting. And it's offensive to me to see this obsession with, well, we gave him a good few years.
Cult of the form. No, it's the
or
worst.
like the cancer patients who are like going to die horribly and are like, I just want to check out, and the doctor's like, sorry, we can't let you do that. Like, what
Get
the
a better
fuck?
doctor. Never known a real doctor that wouldn't, give you a month's worth of pain pills and be like, be very
But
careful.
that's my thing. This whole like
If you take
stopping
4 of them,
people.
you'll die.
Like, if I ever became a paraplegic, right? There's gonna be a point where that shit's not fun anymore. Like, I imagine the whole thing isn't gonna be fun. But do you know what I'm saying? You're gonna hit a point where you're like, I'm fucking done with this shit.
Yep.
I'm out. And I expect somebody in my general vicinity to fucking help me out with that shit, because if I'm paraplegic,
Sure.
I obviously can't do it myself. But my point is we're talking quality of life, and this is a situation where even if this child somehow, by some will of the universe or whatever, manages to survive longer than a day or two,
Kid's not going
it's
to
not
prom
going
with
to
big
be
hat.
a good life.
Yeah. I'm not saying you have to go to prom. I'm not sure I ever actually managed to make it to a prom, but
I only went to my junior prom. I skipped out on my senior prom.
yeah, exactly.
A little bit I regret that, but a little bit I don't, because all the people in my class were assholes.
I was in the Marines when it was time for my senior prom, so I got no clue.
Fair. But anyway.
No, So in answer to your question, I think the ones that are doing it to, bear a big-ass cross, and that's exactly what they're doing. Because I've never seen that happen amongst the non-religious. Right, that this is somebody who's trapped in the nonsense of, well, God has a plan, and yeah, I think God's plans get as fucked up as everyone else's.
No, yeah.
But, and no,
I think humans in general are proof of that. If you do want to believe that there is a God, I think the fact that humans exist and are destroying this planet and then shouting about how we're not destroying this planet is proof enough that probably not perfect, and probably fucking sitting up there like, God damn it, assholes, what are you doing? Sorry, Gaia. Fuck. Like, it's just ridiculous. But because of Louisiana's laws, she has to now travel to North Carolina.
And that's the point.
And originally her doctor told her, "Oh, don't worry, I'll be able to do it." So I'm sure that delayed it about another week or two, and then came back and said, "Oh no, because of this law, I can't."
Yeah.
And I don't know how much of that is on purpose for the doctors to try to keep her from being able to start looking, because it takes a while. You have to make a lot of phone calls.
I
You
think
have
this
to
is way more the doctor
get
don't want
money
to get shot in
together.
the face by the people who shoot people in the face over this issue.
I just don't understand.
I'm not going to fault the doctor, other than you should leave.
Here's my thing. I do not understand why some humans out there, and part of me doesn't even really feel like these people are human the way they behave.
Now,
But
beware of language. But
I know. It's just it's a totally different line of thinking, right? Where you are so obsessed with whatever religion or whatever belief you have that you cannot stop worrying and thinking about what other people are doing. Other people do not affect your lives.
Yep.
What the fuck?
So stop. First off, because part of this is like RisenLadyHeathen privileges. No, because it's not often I'm going to use the like check your privilege bit. Never going to use that. That's a horrible way to start that conversation. Because you've already put the other person on the defensive, because they're going to be like, now they're busy thinking about the times they've been oppressed. But, no, I think part of your problem with this is that's not at all how you would like try and use power. Right? So first off, imagine a world where you don't know your cool throat strike, Krav Maga move, or the ability to like where all
I
the
remember that world,
organs
yeah.
are for the people.
Yeah, that was a scary world.
So they have to use, right, their only safety comes in numbers. Right.
I'm not saying they can't hang out together and all agree that they're going to do the thing. What I'm saying is that when they start fucking trying to push this shit into the mainstream, and the mainstream's pushing back saying, no, we're good.
Except their media has told them they are the mainstream. They are the real Americans that everyone's always babbling about. The less than 19% of Americans that live in the rural whatever.
Flyover states?
Not even, because again, most of this is pretend bullshit. Most of the class of people they're talking to about real America doesn't actually fucking exist, because most rural Americans aren't fucking into this kind of shit.
Right.
Right? But...
No, Kansas proved that.
Yeah. Nah, they're going to pretend they're mainstream. They're going to use this power. At some level, it is simply the naked use of power.
Right.
So, yes, you can understand it. Right. Every time you've ever hoped someone died horribly in traffic, this is just the ability to do it.
All right, I thought it, but I didn't necessarily really want to watch them
for sure
die in a fiery wreck, because then I would have felt bad, like, oh my god, did I cause that? And that would have been horrible.
Yes, and there are people in America, there are people everywhere, but since we're talking about American politics, we'll confine this to Americans.
Right.
Who the only reason they don't do horrific shit is consequence.
Fair.
Right. They are the people who, quote, need religion, because if they didn't believe in eternal damnation, they would do the kind of shit you would want someone eternally damned for.
Yeah, see, that's weird. I don't understand that.
Some people
that
are
you
afraid.
need that you need somebody telling you that there's an imaginary friend that's going to smite you if you do bad things, and that's the only way you can behave as a rational, thinking person. Like, that doesn't make sense to me. I mean, I get that happens, but mentally I can't do the gymnastics to put myself in that headspace. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, it has a lot to do with the way that society's developed now that, right, most of them haven't spent any great amount of time by themselves. Right? Most of them haven't gone camping by themselves. So they've never really been a lot alone. And so they've just been told these things, and so they assume it's true. And it's the same reason why abso-fucking-lutely, right? Without a doubt, more people in the last, 10 years have Googled, horrific images that you cannot unsee for sexual gratification than ever did in the 1800s.
Well.
But that's the kind of... Yeah. No, but they're, their entire argument...
Back then. I think that's...
But that's the thing, is now all of that stuff's available, so they're very worried about what they would do in that environment where they can look at these things.
Just don't fucking look at the things.
Fucking cool. Never mind then.
No, I just don't really...
Yeah, no, their entire thing is hinged upon the fact that society has been in a slide and everything. The other part of it is the religious almost always believe we're in whatever their form of the end times is.
Right.
Because that's the only part that's going to be fucking interesting. So
that's just kind of it for them.
Every religion everywhere has manufactured their own, vastly overestimated amount of persecution. Right? There wasn't as much Christians to lion nonsense. There wasn't as much Cossack, whatever. Yes, there was good examples of either. But for the most part, the problem is the group that's getting thrown to the thing, it's a big fucking deal to them. That wonderful line from Street Fighter, where the guy that plays Gomez Adams, um, plays Bison in that and explains to Chun-Li, right, on this day your family got killed and your village got burned and whatever, right, and that was the formation of your entire life's goal and things, and I'm paraphrasing heavily. For me, it was Tuesday. So, yes, when we threw that entire cult of little weirdo religious kids to the lions, yeah, for them, their entire religious faith was wiped out and all the things. And yeah, for the Romans, it was Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
So, same with everything else, right? That the oppression tends to be, sure, it's directed, but it's more that we needed some pressure relief in the oppressive scale. Right, or that's where it tends to pooch out with humans, because that's the easy one to do.
No, and it makes sense because right now people are stressed out and they need a bad guy, right? Is that the point you're making?
That's half of this.
Yeah, because when you can't live good, and as I was saying the other day, the person down the street is working maybe harder than you or maybe just as hard as you, and you for whatever reason feel like they shouldn't be living the same life you do. Or you should be, or you're better than them because
something
of your religion
bad happened
or something.
to me, so something bad should happen to them.
Exactly. And that sort of whole thought process makes it
the whole world
easy
molested.
for people to just push whatever narrative.
Yeah. Well, and that's one of the
things
that we aren't always great about is when we're making blankety ass statements about all Republicans everywhere. Very rarely do we actually mean anyone not in a position of party or better leadership. Right?
Yeah, no, we're not talking about the people on the ground.
Yeah, unless, like, you're a shithead. If you're a shithead, fuck you.
Right.
But, talking to all the non-shitheads. But it's part of the reason why several times I have dragged a thing from being, right, the MAGA Republicans to, no, conservative Christians.
Yeah.
Because I remember the shitheads saying this shit in the 90s.
Oh, God, yeah.
And they weren't some special group.
Nope.
They weren't the Tea Party yet. Nope. And so I think there's a huge impulse in humans. You can see it all the time with crimes when we go, so-and-so's a monster. Because, yeah, if they're a monster, we don't have to deal with the fact that, no, just a human. Did a human thing. Used human tools to do bad things.
Fair.
Right, they didn't use monster tools. They didn't go out and make something new.
Yeah, the guy who killed JFK was nothing special.
Yeah.
He was just a dude with a rifle who decided that he was going to kill JFK.
Yeah.
End of discussion. Yeah, same thing with Pearl Harbor. They thought that, Japan thought that attacking Pearl Harbor would give them time to do the other things they wanted to do, and it had the opposite effect.
It feeds, that one's important because that one you'll see repeated throughout history. Asian countries misunderstand us at a fundamental level. North Korea is a good example of this. North Korea could get every city in North Korea destroyed along with all of its food storage ability.
Mm-hmm.
Because they would miscalculate and believe that if they hit a city, we would hit a proportionally sized city. Right, so if they hit Los Angeles, we would hit whatever the fuck Los Angeles' equivalent in North Korea is. And I don't think that's true. Right. We had a couple of buildings get knocked down or damaged, and we toppled 2 countries.
Yeah.
One of which had sweet fuck all to do with that.
Yeah.
But
for
they
oil.
were just on the list of people we didn't get along with.
Then,
you can make the argument because at least, right, that has settled down enough to, the contracts did go to exactly who you'd figure they would. But that's also who we can call.
Right.
Right. I mean, I'm not surprised we didn't offer Al Qaeda oil or whatever was running the oil fields for ISIS and ask them if they wanted in on the new contracts for Iraq. Fair. So, so back to this. From what I see, the right is using this as a big roll of the dice that most people won't be able to get this level of attention.
Right.
And it'll kind of all sort itself out. First off, most people are going to get tired of talking about this really quick. Right. That this is one of the Republicans benefit when we don't make things better, and they've made things worse. Right.
Right,
On
which is
either side
exactly
of that.
right, which is exactly what's happened.
Oh yeah. No, and the media and everyone else is going to get tired of telling these stories because no, they don't have a good answer. Because yeah, it's probably going to be a long time before Democrats get around to running and winning in all of Louisiana enough to run the table.
I got a good answer. Raise the minimum wage.
Oh yeah.
Get real health care here in America.
Some of the grimdarker, like,
We have no
bordering
mental
on
health care
conspiracy
system.
theories I've heard from
Get
smart
one.
kids is part of the reason we push so hard against that is we have. So you remember, right, in the history things when we were really against women having bikes because they could use them to like go wherever they wanted, which might not be where they were. That part of the reason we fight so viciously to keep minimum wage down is because business interests in those states know that they would lose their labor force if you gave them enough money to run.
Well, and that's what we saw happen during the pandemic.
Yeah.
People left restaurants in droves and
Yeah.
got better. You know, all those people, they were like, you should get a better job. When
did.
COVID hit and you started treating people like extra double shit and they weren't getting better paid and blah, 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 they said, fuck it. And they went and got better jobs. And yeah, that was the end of that discussion. It's just, I mean, you know, you got to treat people better and you got to pay them more to deal with these fucking shit jobs where they get shit on all the time.
Okay. We'll see. That might be what we take away from this, or, right, whatever caused the odd and awkward to address or explain inflation. Right, so everything that isn't covered easily by market influence and the rest, right, where it does just look punitive as shit.
Right.
Or maybe we learn the lesson that we did in 2008 and 7, which is if you investigate the banks really hard, they'll burn your fucking economy down.
Fair.
Because that would explain a lot about how we the change in tone of how we were going to deal with the banks.
Right.
So, and still, no bankers went to... One banker kind of went to jail, kind of. So, none of the ones who have names. And the sad thing is that's probably led us to a place where the best thing the Democrats could do is start handling this shit, right? We should stop offering them the choice of handling this like gentlemen, and we should get into some gangster shit.
Yeah.
Which means, yeah, intelligence findings on people like J.P. Diamond, or Jamie Dimon.
Yeah.
And, yeah, as long as you don't leave the United States, you're fine, buddy. I'm sure you can totally run J.P. Morgan, a global banking interest, without ever leaving the United States. But woe be to you if you ever leave where the U.S. laws are the dominant force.
Yeah.
Because, wow.
So, main takeaway: if you live in one of the 11 states that has across-the-board abortion bans or very strict,
or any of this shit,
very strict, whatever.
If you live in the South,
fucking move.
Yeah.
Because you know, if you're a female, if you're a male with a with a family or a daughter or whatever, and you care about these people, take them with you. Fucking pick up and goddamn move. That's your only fucking chance. Because this woman is a woman of means. She can afford a lawyer and stuff, but she cannot afford to leave the state for this, which it probably would have been covered by her insurance in state, but a lot of insurances don't cover you out of state, which is some bullshit. And a lot of insurances now, I imagine, are probably being a bit shittier about covering the abortion thing, at least making it harder.
It means they don't have to pay for a thing? Absolutely.
But one thing that I will say is that we need to take away a lot of this insurance companies and the government getting between people and their doctors. Because if a doctor says this is the thing and blah, 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 and an insurance company says we're not going to cover that, that's some bullshit. Or if the government says, we're sorry, we know you need this procedure to survive or whatever, but sucks to be you because we think you should, die. It's fine. It's fine. This needs to stop. We need to have more decisions between doctors and patients that don't involve outside forces. Like, insurance companies don't know anything about doctors, okay? Or being doctors.
Or less doctor discretion. Right, that is one of the things we can discuss, right? It's a thing we did to police, partly for the right reasons, right? We took away a lot of officer discretion in a lot of things, which again drove a lot of the people who you wanted to be cops into corporate security, into right PMCs, into right everything cop adjacent,
Mm-hmm.
because yeah, they're still allowed to right use their intellect and use their discretion on things, because not everything has to right escalate.
Right.
Um, but we took it away from them because they weren't policing like themselves, which still not great at.
I'd be even willing to say that an insurance company would require somebody to get a second opinion because some doctors are just quacks.
Yeah,
It's a thing.
I can't imagine doctor or insurance companies requiring anything that's going to cost them money.
Right, but my point is that if it's something whatever enough that's going to cost them enough money, then maybe sending you to another specialist to say, yeah, no, that guy was right, and then you can choose who you want to go with.
Hey,
But
yeah, no, there's no way to make that happen. No, we can remove doctors' discretion because again, doctors aren't in charge of shit.
Right.
Doctors do what you tell them, and we can really push that one home to Americans about. Yes, your doctor is there to advise you. They are a specialist in things. They are there to make sure you have the benefit of a specialist in that field. But you are in charge of what you do. That's why you can leave against medical advice.
right.
It does fuck with your insurance and several other things, but right. And we can make that the more important part. All right, we could make it a big freedom about like body autonomy in terms of doctors do what you're told. You aren't there to have an opinion. But right, I don't understand why we let fucking pharmacists have an opinion because listen here, your training is basically enough to count to 30 a couple of times a day.
Well, no, and for me, one of the things was I remember back in the day when insurance companies decided that they were going to force everybody to get the generic, no matter what, because you could pay extra money. You used to be able to pay the extra money to get the, the non-generic version, and it was fine. But then they said, no, you need a special thing written by your doctor that specifically says that you can't use the generic. And again, the only thing I've ever had issues with generically was birth control.
Yeah.
Generic birth control,
Yeah.
for whatever reason, I don't know if it's the extra additives they put in or how they mix it or whatever, but it just didn't work for me personally.
Excellent.
So, but I had a big fight with my insurance company over that back in the day, and it's
we can definitely slap the insurance companies around for practicing medicine without a license.
Right.
They will simply hire doctors to agree with them because again, doctors aren't your friend.
No, doctors don't give a shit.
No, but that's a big deal, and we need to have that conversation. It's as close to death panels as I think we'll ever get to most people.
Right.
Because there is a section of America who thinks of their doctors and the nurses as their friends because they have no one else, and so whatever interactions they can have, they're going to like take in the most they can from it. And so declaring someone your friend makes it all more meaningful, as opposed to no, you're just their 230, and no, they don't care because no, they don't care.
Yeah, aggressively.
Right? They aren't going to cry and go to your wake and all the other stuff. So. Right, and they'll say it's because they need to maintain their right, dispassionate whatever, and maybe. I've seen it argued both ways, and that at least, right, can be an interesting debate.
Right.
The Louisiana thing, again, that's all raw naked power. They're banking on the fact that the American right interest will wane on hearing these stories. Because again, how often do you hear about 1 in 5 children in America don't have consistent food?
Oh yeah, and that's higher because I remember when I was in school, it was 1 in 4.
Yep.
So just so y'all know, that number's going up, not down.
Yeah, it didn't get better, guys. We didn't do anything about the problem. Problem didn't get better.
Which should tell you something about the way America is going right now and why people are leaning so hard on these insane thoughts, theories, and beliefs. Because there is no logic to any of this except, as Assel was saying, pure, unadulterated power and control over other people's lives for absolutely no benefit to the people below them, only to themselves.
No, beware the kids who are seeking power, not responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it's tragic, but we have fucked up teaching American youth the importance of pursuing responsibility versus control or power, or other words that have an inherent negative connotation if there's any force put behind it at all.
Right.
So, right, because I can be as violent in my pursuit of responsibility and my responsibilities, and there's probably no good way that, right, that story ends up with me all fucked up or causing the problem.
Right.
Right? Violence in pursuit of control or power. That's pretty much the story of every bad thing that happened today.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That didn't get reported, that didn't get a GoFundMe. And I'm not trying to attack the woman who's got this horrible problem. My advice is cool. Once you get in that other state and get your abortion, keep fucking going.
Yeah, no.
I wouldn't go back. I mean, get your kids, obviously, but, like, leave your shit. Yes, this should, I would advise this should cause an American refugee crisis. First off, it would relieve some of the, like, stress for the South because then there'd be wildly more stuff.
Mm.
But most Americans don't have more than $2,000 worth of goods anyway.
Right.
So that's not, like, a lot to replace.
Nope.
So just consider this like the time the storm took the whatever, only
Take
The
detailed
Storm's
notes of all
Republicans.
the books you have to throw away or donate. Donate them to a library if you can, but call the library first because
Yeah.
some libraries get
Most
overrun.
libraries.
Yeah. But take detailed notes of all the books, buy them on your Amazon, whatever, as you go throughout your life to recollect them,
Yep.
and good to go.
Or check them off the internet tree or
Yeah,
whatever it is.
however you want to collect them, it's fine. But you can get them in smaller, compact form now.
Yeah.
That travels well. Was the only point I was.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I'm a firm believer that people's libraries should live in their pockets. I think I've got 600 books on my phone right now.
Yeah, I couldn't even say the number of stuff that I have.
I just cleared off 100 gigs of books.
Ooh.
So I don't know how many books that is, but it's a lot.
It's a lot. Yeah, that's good. No, it's good things. But no, we need to encourage reading and learning, and these people are just going to get crazier and crazier as we've seen with the trying to say we need to stop teaching science and history. That's going to be the downfall of America.
And
If we stop teaching science and history, just say goodbye.
sadly, we ran long enough that I
Yeah.
gotta say the rude thing about Biden's nonsense.
Oh no.
So Biden gave a speech, and I'm all for it. He called the MAGA Republicans a semi-fascist organization, which cool.
Yeah.
Glad he at least got to fascist.
At least he figured it out. Yeah.
Semi makes me uncomfortable, so we'll see. No, I have no doubt that Joe Biden can fail to. Joe Biden was cool talking and being nice to fucking racists. No surprise, he's not going to call out the MAGA kids on the fascism.
And maybe he meant semi in the fact that not all of them are fascist, but a vast majority are.
I don't know. That was probably in his whole point about the MAGA Republicans versus the mainstream Republicans. Good idea and good framing on the thing. The then babbledy part about, we're going to codify Roe v. Wade into law and ban assault weapons and
Get away from the guns,
Yeah.
folks. Democrats, get away from the guns.
If nothing else, Democrats, take as a cautionary tale, Republicans caught the car they've been chasing for a long, long time. Do you want to be in the position of them, where you've accidentally outlawed hunting in the United States? That's 5 million votes. I have no idea if banning their weapons will make them vote against you, but I know that 5 million is so much bigger than 46,000 votes determined the last election.
Yeah.
We can babble all we want about 8 million more votes that didn't count. We could talk some more about how Hillary won the popular vote, and what prizes does that come with? Because winning the Electoral College makes you president. Did she get a car or a nice vacation?
And as nice as it would be to get,
I don't know what the runner-ups
to get rid of the Electoral College, the only way that happens is if you vote for Democrats. End of discussion.
And they do a constitutional amendment or a Continental Congress, neither of which anyone who's talking about a constitutional amendment has no plan.
Yeah.
Cool. Yes, I think over the next 60 years we should launch a campaign I don't fucking care. There aren't 60 years left in me.
No. I don't think there's 60 years left in America as
Yeah.
being America.
Yeah. No, my biggest fear about that is the Republicans, right, elect a bunch of Looney Tunes to the, important behind-the-scenes jobs and sort of accidentally half do a coup.
Right.
Because you want to talk about really jamming the gears of America, right? Again, this thing with the bipartisan group that wants to make it harder for the vice president to declare this is a bullshit election. That's going to be really fucking annoying if we have to watch Kamala Harris sit on our hands when we know that that's not at all what those states voted, and these people have declared some new legal policy.
Yep.
But it doesn't matter, and you can sue in federal court to demand an answer to who the fuck is president, because, yeah, that matters. That matters on a scale that the court will rule.
Yep.
And someone is going to get sworn in on January 20th.
Yeah. All right. So this has been Fuck It All Friday with Asshole and Risen. You know, we hope y'all have a wonderful weekend. We hope you chew on some of the stuff we've said. And with that, don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, heart, follow, review, smash that like button on YouTube. Go to BoomerRexTonight, no spaces on Facebook for fun memes and a link to our Patreon. Give us $1. You can find us on YouTube as BoomerX or check your favorite podcasting service for BoomerRexTonight. We can be found on over a dozen different platforms, including Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and Samsung Podcasts. Hit us up on Twitter at BoomerRexTonight, and if you Google BoomerRexTonight, no spaces, all links will lead you to us. We love y'all. We'll see you back here on Monday for Just the News.
Bye.
Bye.